What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video, and welcome to your third stimulus check update, stimulus package update, and news report for Thursday, March 4th. So today we have a lot to go over regarding the upcoming stimulus package. Yes, it is coming, but as to when is it coming and what will actually be in this bill when it is finalized, that is currently what is the unknown. I want to address some of the questions that many of you had yesterday though. What we know right now is that there are still games being played among our lawmakers. Democrats are fighting with one another, trying to get their own provisions and their own priorities included into the stimulus package, and Republicans are doing all they can to not only delay but potentially block this entire stimulus package from going through. Now, just to give you an idea of what Republicans plan on doing to slow down this roughly $1.9 trillion stimulus package, I want to read a tweet. This tweet is from Senator Ron Johnson. He says, and I quote, "I'm going to make the Senate clerk read the Democrats' $1.9 trillion bill, all several hundred pages of it. It's 591 pages. Then I'm going to offer amendments, many amendments. We need to highlight the abuse. This is not a COVID relief bill. It's a boondoggle for Democrats." That's exactly what he said. Now, I wanted to read this to you because these are the types of games that we are going to see, and not just from the Republican side either. We're going to see these exact same games played by Democrats as well within their own party to try to get their own priorities included into this stimulus package. We've already seen that. But we are going to see hundreds of amendments from both Democrats and Republicans. Some of these amendments will actually be good. They would be very good for the American people and for the economy. But the majority of them, okay, and I'm serious about this, the majority of these bills will not be good for the American people. These will only be good for the sake of the politician. Their focus right now should be on COVID relief, getting the American people the help that they need, get the economy to recover, get back to our normal lives. However, what we hear is that their focus right now is getting their constituents to see that they are fighting. Now, whether they fight for something that is good for the American people or not really doesn't matter. All the constituents really want to see is that they have some fight in them. That is currently what they are talking about. They're not talking about COVID relief. They're not talking about new vaccinations. They're not talking about the upcoming infrastructure bill. They're talking about winning a possible election in 2 years. That is what they are talking about. And this is the crazy part, is that we voted these people into office. Whether you voted them for them or not, whether you voted for or against them, doesn't matter. These are our senators. These are our representatives. These are our lawmakers. And this is why we are seeing a fight for more targeted stimulus. Because right now they're saying we need to repurpose state and local government funding. We need to lower the weekly unemployment boost. And we need to target stimulus checks. This is the reason why all this stuff's happening, is because right now everybody's fighting to get their own priorities into this bill. But with the reports that came out this morning saying that there were 745,000 people that filed for unemployment benefits for the first time last week alone, well, this is making it harder and harder to get a large stimulus package passed when the economy is slowly getting better, but at the same time, it's still up at record highs. Right now, the jobs market is not coming back as quickly as many people predicted. What we are seeing is that more than 10 million people can't go back to their old jobs for whatever reason. Millions more who were self-employed or are self-employed don't have enough work to provide a steady income, so they are on unemployment benefits as well. And then we have roughly 7 million people who just completely abandoned their search for work for whatever reasons as well. So we have millions and millions of people either out of work or just stopped looking. This is a big issue, and this is one of the reasons why Bernie Sanders has been continuing his fight for the $15 minimum wage provision. Not only does he say you can provide for yourself, but you can also provide for your family as well. But here's the other issue. I want to give you both sides, because a lot of people say, I keep giving them one side, I'm not telling the whole story. Here's the truth. I do tell you the whole story, but sometimes it's not in the exact same video. I don't want to make an hour-long video talking about both sides of every single piece of legislation, so I make multiple videos. Hopefully you guys understand that. But here's what experts are saying in regards to opposing the $15 federal minimum wage increase. It has nothing to do with many people, or according to the Congressional Budget Office, there would be about 900 million people, 900,000 people, lifted out of poverty, but yet 1.4 million people would lose their jobs because of an increase in wages. What experts are saying is that fighting for a $15 minimum wage provision when 20 million people are out of work doesn't seem to be as productive as it once was. When there was a 3% unemployment rate, yes, 3% unemployment rate, providing a $15 minimum wage would have created an incredible boost. But when we're at over 6%, and tomorrow we should see our new numbers, because we're at 6.3% from February or from January unemployment numbers, but what are we in February? That's what we don't know, and that should come out tomorrow. But here's what these experts are saying. They say that getting the economy reopened, open up again, should be the utmost importance for lawmakers. Right now, they say, then we can worry about the minimum wage across the United States. There's no point to provide an increase in wages when millions and millions of people are out of work. Let's get these people back to work, and then we will provide a $15 minimum wage. So right now, experts are saying that Bernie Sanders and some Democrats kind of have things a little bit backwards. They need to fix their, what is the first priority and kind of work off of that. Right now, what some are saying is that President Biden does not know what to prioritize, because he was trying to prioritize unemployment benefits, stimulus checks, and vaccines. That's great. The problem was Joe Manchin, he did not support the unemployment checks at $400 per week. He didn't support the $1,400 stimulus checks as they stood, and he did support vaccine funding. And so this is why some people are saying that President Biden was kind of lost, because yes, he was pretty much thrown in, during this very difficult time. And the last time he was vice president, he was thrown in at a very difficult time as well. Right now, some are saying, and some advisors to President Biden are saying, that he is trying to overcompensate because of what happened during the Obama administration, where it took about 10 years to recover from that financial crisis and the housing crisis from 2008, pretty much 2008, 2009, and then it went on for about 10 years. So he doesn't want to see that happen again. But all indications at this point show, or pretty much point to, we are going to go into a deeper recession. We will see what happens, but again, hopefully things do turn up. What we are hearing right now is that many advisors to President Biden believe that this package is just too much. It's too much. It's too expensive. We're not dealing with the right problems. There are pieces of legislation in this bill that should not be added. Then they say the price tag is too high, and President Biden is getting feedback from senators who mainly have their own state's interest at heart. And this is understandable. Obviously, Joe Manchin, who's the senator for West Virginia, he's going to be focused on West Virginia. For instance, Chuck Schumer, who's a senator for New York, he's going to be focused on more of stuff from New York than places like, Arizona or, Texas, right? It just doesn't make sense. But what some are saying is that President Biden is getting too much feedback from senators who have their state's main interest in heart. And that's fine, but he needs to take into account every senator's feelings, every senator's ideas, and they need to have that as their main focal point. But right now, President Biden is focused on just one guy. That's Joe Manchin. Joe Manchin has been opposed to a lot of things. However, here's what we know. Right now, a lot of these senators have their own interests at heart, and that's fine, but when they are talking about cutting back on who receives the $1,400 stimulus checks, right now more lawmakers supported the checks as they were than the change that was just made yesterday. And that was made, according to all reports, because of Joe Manchin, the senator out of West Virginia. We also know that Democrats initially wanted to include a $3,600 child tax credit to help child poverty. But even Republicans ask, why only cut child poverty for 1 year? This should be a permanent piece of legislation. Well, according to reports yesterday and according to multiple sources, that this will be a permanent change. How long is permanent? Well, when I think of permanent, I think it's going to last a lifetime. However, that's not technically the case. Some are saying that this might go from 1 year to a whole 2 years, maybe even 4 years. But as far as a permanent change, this would just be something that we'd keep rolling over. Right now, some say that this should be a permanent change. This should be something that both Republicans and Democrats could agree on. However, right now what we're hearing is that being that this is such a partisan bill, Republicans would never go for this the way that the bill is written. But if President Biden and Democrats were to come back to the table and readdress and negotiate a bipartisan stimulus package, not at 1.9 trillion, but most likely in between 1 and 1.5, then Republicans would jump on board and they would get something done. But we're also hearing they want to know why we need $350 billion for state and local government funding when the estimates right now have states and local governments losing about $120 billion. Now, some like Moody's are saying it's right around like 60 to 70 billion. Others say it's right around 100. And then there's some that say it's closer to 2. But most are predicting it's right around 120 billion that state and local governments have lost. So some say this money would be better used for additional rental assistance. For instance, you cut off, let's say, $200 billion for state and local government funding. You take that money, you repurpose it for, let's say, rental assistance. Let me just give you an idea of what they're talking about. They state right now that this $1.9 trillion stimulus package, it includes roughly $30 billion for additional rental assistance. This would already, this would go on top of the already passed money, which was $25 billion that came from the $900 billion stimulus package that was passed at the end of December. So in total, that would be $55 billion for rental assistance. However, all estimates right now are stating that we are at least $75 billion behind on rent. If that's the case, why should we give over about 3 times the amount of money to state and local governments? And then instead of giving money for rental assistance, we actually cut it back and are only giving like 75%. That makes no sense. And that's where experts are saying that this is where President Biden needs to step up and provide for the American people that actually voted him into office. And these are just some of the things that will come up for debate. And again, the debate could possibly happen today. It could also happen tomorrow. It could also happen on Saturday. And we could also see this go into next week. That's currently what we're hearing. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer said we could see a vote happen as early as yesterday. Well, that was because he said that yesterday. Now today, he's going to come out and say we could see a vote as early as today. Well, of course, it's early as today. It can't be any earlier because that would be yesterday, and it didn't happen. So what we know right now is that currently the House Democrats are not extremely supportive of the Senate's version of this bill. Some are saying that they won't support these changes. Others say that they are good, but they need minor adjustments. And I want you to keep this in mind. Just remember this. Any adjustments that are made on this bill once it lands back in the House, doesn't matter how minor or how big these adjustments are. Any adjustment whatsoever, any amendment, this would require a revote in the Senate. If this happens, this would also leave open the door to the Senate providing an amendment. And if that amendment does pass and they vote on the bill again, it passes and there's a change, then it would have to go back to the House for another vote. Okay, every time there's a change, it has to go back, has to go to both houses and pass exactly as it stands. And this has to happen before it heads over to President Biden's desk for his signature. And this is one of the reasons why many lawmakers are saying that they are not as confident as they were about a week ago that this bill gets passed before the March 14th deadline. What I can tell you, just to answer a couple of you guys' questions, how soon will we see this stimulus check? The real issue right now is not what is in this bill at this point, but what is being taken out. Okay, that's the big priority. That's the big issue right now. Because this was already passed in the House, and there was already 2 Democrats that voted against this bill in the House. And they voted against this because For one, it was just not enough. They wanted more. They didn't support it, whatever, for whatever reason, right? I'm not going into all the details, but that was kind of the gist of it. Now, if we see there's a lot of stuff being pulled out, for instance, progressives in the House, there was over 50 progressives in the House. If 50 people on the Democratic side decide to vote against the bill, this bill would not pass, no matter how many people vote for it in the Senate. The problem is always the Senate. That's usually the problem. But now there's more of a voice in the House because of this group of progressives. So I just want to reiterate one thing, and that is this bill, it may take a little bit longer to pass, but it will pass. What will be included in this? That's something that we don't know. My guess is we're going to see the $1,400 stimulus checks. We're going to see school funding. We will see vaccine funding. We're going to see most likely rental assistance. We're going to see, a bunch of different things, right? Unemployment benefits as well. But here's the big thing. As more and more time goes on, and I said this earlier this week, if we see the unemployment numbers drop, and they slightly dropped from last week to this week. They were expected to be 750,000 people file for unemployment benefits, and only 745,000 applied. So there was about a 5,000 person, disparity there, which is great. The issue is tomorrow. What will we see tomorrow? Will we see the unemployment rate drop? Will it increase? Will it stay the same? If it drops into the 5% range, this is going to be difficult because some centrist Democrats might really oppose the $400 per week all the way to the end of August. If we see this drop into the 5%, I'm just saying this now, okay? Now I'm no expert. I'm just a guy on YouTube. But if we see this drop into the 5%, and I see that's highly unlikely, but if it does, if we get, let's say, 6% at least, my guess is we're going to see many more centrist Democrats come out and say that they oppose the $400 per week all the way through August 29th. We could see them then go in favor of $300 per week, and this would most likely be cut off at the end of June. Okay, I just want to be 100% clear. If this happens, then we're going to see the fight between centrist Democrats in the Senate versus the progressives in the House. If we see this could ultimately delay the entire stimulus package possibly weeks, if not a month. So just keep that in mind. If you have any questions on any of that, please come back, comment down in the comment section below. I'll be more than happy to answer any of your questions. Also, feel free to subscribe so I can continue to keep you updated on everything that's going on, and I'll see you guys on the next one.